You ever wake up in a cold sweat, heart just pounding, totally convinced that what just happened in your dream was real? Well, tonight we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most terrifying and honestly mysterious experiences we all share, the nightmare.
We've all been there, right? The terror is so vivid, it leaves your heart just hammering against your ribs long after you realize, okay, it was just a dream. But man, it doesn't feel like it in that moment.
But what if they're more than that? What if they're not just random brain glitches? What if they're actually signals, powerful messages from deep inside our minds, trying to tell us something really important about our waking life?
Okay, so first things first. What exactly is the difference between just a regular bad dream and a full-blown nightmare? Let's break that down, because there's a huge distinction.
Here's the real kicker. A nightmare's fear or anxiety or sadness is so intense it literally yanks you out of sleep. It physically wakes you up. Think of it like this. A bad dream is like watching a scary movie, but a nightmare? That's like the monster is in your house. One's just a story, the other feels like a real, immediate threat.
So what in the world is going on in our brains that creates these terrifyingly real experiences? All right, let's pop the hood and take a look.
Okay, so during REM sleep, which is prime time for dreaming, the part of our brain in charge of logic and reason kind of takes a nap. But at the exact same time, the parts in charge of emotion and imagination, they are totally liberated and just run wild. Some experts actually think of this as a kind of high-intensity training for our brain, a way to process emotions.
But, sometimes that training goes off the rails. Our waking life directly feeds what happens in our dream life, and a few key things can seriously overload the system. We're talking about major emotional stress, the long shadow of trauma, even physical alarms from our body, like sleep apnea, or chemical influences from stuff like medication or alcohol.
For example, and this number is just staggering, 90% of people with PTSD suffer from recurring nightmares. It's because the brain is stuck in this horrible loop. It's trying so hard to process the trauma, but without that logical part of the brain chiming in, it just replays the terror over and over and over again. And this is the absolute crucial point. During REM sleep, our brain is like a brilliant storyteller that has completely lost its editor. The imagination runs free, with absolutely no checks and balances from logic. And that is why dream stories can get so bizarre and so emotionally intense.
But here is the good news, and it's really good news. You do not have to be a passive victim here. You can actually learn to become the author of your own dreams. You can rewrite the script.
There's this incredibly powerful, scientifically backed method called imagery rehearsal therapy, or IRT. And what it does is it lets you take back control. It's basically a way to retrain your brain, to consciously change the nightmare story while you're awake. And the process is actually brilliantly simple. Step 1, you write down the nightmare in as much detail as you can remember. Step 2, you change the ending. You rewrite the script to something positive or empowering. And Step 3, you rehearse this new script, this new ending, over and over during the day, and especially right before you go to sleep. And the results from this can be absolutely incredible. There's a famous story of a Vietnam vet who was haunted by this reoccurring dream of being chased by a tiger. So he used IRT. He rewrote the script. In his new version, he turns around and faces the tiger. And when he does, the tiger doesn't attack him. It actually becomes a source of healing for him. It's amazing.
And this isn't just a one-off story either. The research is solid. Clinical trials show that this technique can reduce nightmare frequency and PTSD symptoms by as much as 72%. I mean, think about that. For someone who's literally afraid to fall asleep, that is absolutely life-changing.
Now, IRT is an amazing tool, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. To really cultivate a peaceful night's sleep, we gotta create the right conditions for our mind to rest in the first place.
You can protect these critical little windows of time. Some people call them the liminal zones, right as you're falling asleep and as you're waking up. So for sleep entry, that means avoiding stressful stuff like true crime shows right before bed. Maybe try journaling to kind of empty your mind. And for sleep exit, when you wake up, don't just grab your phone, linger for a minute, stay grounded, and process.
And look, these foundational practices are your first line of defense. And that tip about alcohol, that is so important. A drink might feel like it helps you relax and fall asleep, but it actually messes with your REM sleep. As it wears off through the night, your brain goes into this intense REM rebound, which often leads to way more vivid and frankly terrifying dreams.
Maybe in the end, we should see these intense dreams not as an attack, but as neuroscientist Dr. Rao Jandil puts it, like a solar flare from our mind. It's this powerful, bright signal just illuminating an area deep inside us that really needs our attention.
Your nightmares are telling you a story. By understanding why our brain is writing these scary scripts in the first place, we actually get the power to change the ending. So the real question is, are you ready to pick up the pen and become the author?